I just wanted to get on here so I can talk about my journey with depression. I just want to talk about how I started, how it's going. I want to share my journey with you guys and see how this goes. Hopefully, I explain it right. Hopefully, I say what I want to say. But who knows? I'm just winging it, really. But I do want to tell about how I've been living with depression and what I'm trying to do to help myself. So, back when I was young, as early as I can remember, um, I've dealt with depression since I was a kid. Now, I didn't know this until I've gotten older and I talked to a psychiatrist before. Well, my therapist, actually, my therapist. My therapist was the one to diagnose me with depression a couple years ago. And it wasn't until then, until I realized, until I realized that the things that I was going through when I was a kid, that was actually depression. Now, I'm not for sure how old I was. As early as I can remember, in elementary school years, I used to always feel alone. Like, whenever any of my brothers and sisters or cousins, maybe they wanted to go somewhere, and I always decided to stay back because I was a real cautious kid. I was scary, actually. I was a really scary kid. I thought everything was gonna come out to get me, basically. I was scared to get in trouble. I was scared to do this, scared to do that. So I spent a lot of my time alone, either watching TV or maybe reading a book, actually. So I remember back during that time, I was having these episodes that just randomly come. I didn't know what it was at that time, and I don't think my parents knew what it was. I'll describe it like this. Um, what happened is maybe I'm watching TV or something, and if I hear a clock, if I like, if I hear the sound of a clock or maybe a heartbeat, that steady rhythm would cause a reaction from me. Like my chest will start beating. I mean, my heart will start beating fast. I'll get sweaty. I'll get delirious, and sometimes it feels like I want to black out. And I didn't know what it was. It'll last for maybe about 5 minutes at the most, and then it'll slowly go away. Now, I never knew what this thing was, and it happened so randomly, always random. And I remember this time I was in a car. I was in the car with my mom. Like I said, I was still a kid, maybe under 10 when this stuff was happening. And I was in the car. I was in the back seat of my mom's car, and we were driving while she was driving. And I was laying down. Actually, no, I was sitting down, and I don't know. It's like I started to imagine something that was small, then it got big, and then it got small, then it got big, and I was seeing these images in my head, and that caused me to have an anxiety attack. It's either an anxiety attack or maybe it was a panic attack. I don't know. It was one of those, And I used to have these small attacks here and there, here and there. And then they went from those attacks to I felt like I want to black out. Like I'll black out for like 1 or 2 seconds whenever the anxiety attack hits me. And these, I could never for the life of me understand what these things were and why I was having them when I was that young. Like I never really thought about it. Not until like whenever I have those episodes and it's gone, I never think about it again. And I know one thing I did try to do, um, whenever I know there's going to be by a clock or anything that has like a steady rhythm, sometimes I'll close my ears so I wouldn't have it. So it just bums me out now that I think about all those things that were happening to me as a kid was the result of depression, and that I was having some kind of attack. Like I wish I knew what it was back then. I really did. And let's go ahead and fast forward to actually high school. I don't really remember having too many of those attacks when I was in middle school. But in high school, things got worse for me in high school, I would say, because all my life, my whole life, I always felt like I was alone. I felt like nobody loved me, and I always find a way to make myself feel bad. Like I will punish myself, always, constantly punish myself, saying all these kind of bad things about myself. I kept myself from having friends. Anybody that maybe wanted to hang out with me during these years, I always turned them away. I'll just stay home in the room, maybe read a book. I felt like I did this to myself. I really did. I worried a lot about everything. Things that were out of my control, basically. Like I was a kid, right? And I used to always worry about bills, the things that my mom, supposed to be worrying about. I worried about it. I worried about, are we going to have food the next day? Do we have enough to last us a whole week? I worried about light bills. Are our lights going to be paid? Or the rent? Does my mom have enough to carry the rent? To pay the rent? If you don't, how's she going to get the money? If she don't have the money, how long are we going to go without the light? Stuff like that I worried about. I worried about adult things. Things that I, as a kid, should not have been thinking about. And I let that tear me down. And I say to myself, oh, I'm this about myself. I'm bad about that. I can't do this. I can't do that. It was so much. It was a constant battle that I dealt with these negative thoughts that I've always had. I did not know what anything was. Excuse me. I didn't know what these thoughts were and why I always have them. Mom always beat myself up. Why I always felt alone. I always felt like an outcast to everybody. I really did. I didn't think nobody cared about me enough. And I always felt like I did this. Maybe if I was more like this, or maybe more like my sister, or maybe more like my cousin. Maybe if I was more like my family, I wouldn't be in this situation now. stay stuck in my head a lot. Always. It's always been me. It's just so stuck in my head. And I hate it that I hated that I always felt alone. Because I honestly, I feel like I made myself this way. It had to be. In high school, I had so much going on with me. So I do want to go back to, before I get to high school, I wanted to say that those anxiety attacks that I was having as a kid, they stopped. I didn't have them for a very long time. None at all. Um, when I got to high school, it was a blessing. High school was a blessing to me. I always loved school. And I also was battling with my schedule. So what I want to say is, when I always had this dream of becoming an actress. I wanted to be a film director and I want to be an actress. So what I tried to do was I tried to get myself into acting classes. I got myself my own agent. I I lived in Orlando at this time. So, by the way, I live in Florida. So I actively was trying to pursue this career as a actress, and I'm in school during this time. So I'm trying to do all this in the midst of trying to do good in school, trying to get good grades, and I had a plan. I had a plan, and I thought if I follow it, I can get myself out of this situation that I was in, and I can finally make my dreams come true. So during this time, I had all that on my shoulders, on top of trying to make this career, trying to become somebody while I was in high school, and also trying to work a job. I had a job working working at Universal Studios. So I was trying to manage my job, I was trying to manage my schoolwork, and trying to pursue this career of becoming an actress. And I think it was too much for me to handle, because not only that, I was also worried about bills and the things in my household. I was worried about those things too inside my household. So I'm telling you, almost every week, I caught myself inside she was either the guidance counselor, or what was she? She's not the guidance counselor, but she was like a therapist, someone that you go to talk to when you're in schools. It's somebody that you go to talk to about your problems and stuff in school. So I had to, when things got too rough for me, I always went straight to her office, and I cry. I tell her this and that about the things that are going on with me, or the things that I can't handle. It was just, my whole life has been very overwhelming. Very overwhelming. But again, that's something that I created. I just couldn't handle anything. I couldn't. So my whole high school experience, I dealt with depression. And I still didn't know what that was at that time. I dealt with it. It's a constant battle in my head. I'm always fighting with something negative I have to say about myself. And I never thought about suicide when I was going through that. But I did find a way to hurt myself. What I would do was I will keep myself from eating. I'll tell myself, since I'm since I want to put myself through this, I need to be punished. So I would skip a meal. I wanted to feel those hunger pains as a way to punish myself for all the negative thoughts and things that just go through my head that wasn't supposed to be there. That's how I punish myself, by not eating. I don't think too much about those episodes where I skipped a meal here and there. I don't want to think too much about it because I don't want to acknowledge that I was having an eating disorder when I was in high school. The first time I ever said that out loud. So that's what I was going through. And that was my way of punishing myself for my feelings and my thoughts. So it was when I graduated high school, I had a plan. I told myself, if I can keep myself busy and follow my dreams, everything will fall in place. So what I decided to do was I quit that job that I was working at Universal Studios, and I registered my business. I'm an artist and a visual artist, and I draw and paint. So I drew a lot of photos, a lot of pictures, and I created a business out of it, what I so-called did. I did everything right. Registered the business, tax ID, anything that I needed for it to be a business, I did that. And I told myself I'm going to sell art at the flea market. So that's what I did. I went to the flea market that first day. Mind you, I didn't have my job anymore. I did not have my job because I quit it thinking I'm going to make a lot of money while at this flea market. So when I went there the first day, I made $2.75. That's how much I made at the flea market. I'm thinking I'm going to be this big seller. I'm going to make all this money. And that first day I was there, I made $2.75. So I quit. I'm like, I can't do that. This is not what I imagined. This is not what I thought was going to happen. So I quit it. I quit. That's what I do a lot of. I quit a lot. I can't stay consistent with anything. I cannot. My mind won't let me. My head won't let me. I just can't. I can't be consistent with nothing in my life. Nothing. So it was during that time after I quit that job and had no money, no nothing. Things started getting harder for me again. I was just stuck in my head again. I had no car, no money, no job, no dreams, no nothing. I had nothing, and I was right out of high school. I was even going to college during that time. I forgot to mention that I was going to college. I went to college for 3 months, and I quit that too. Around the same time I quit my job, and around the same time I quit trying to build my own business. I quit it. I can't stay on anything for long at all. I can't. So, fast forward to my life now. A whole, I would say 13 years. Well, I moved from Orlando and to my hometown. And my life since high school have been filled with just me stuck in my head. I haven't been successful with nothing. Nothing. I haven't. I've made all these plans. I have all these journals that I used to write with everything in it. All my hopes and dreams. They just, it's just sit there. They're just words. And I make all these plans and say, I'm going to do this next month. I'm going to stop feeling the way I'm feeling. And I am going to make something out of myself. It's hard. It's so hard to deal with. It's hard to be me. It is hard to be me. Because it's gotten worse the last several years, because I finally was thinking about suicide. I was finally thinking about suicide. That's not something I thought about when I was younger, but I think about it now. I think about it. There's been so many episodes, so many bad episodes of me thinking about unaliving myself. And I never took the action to do it until last year. I was just up to here. I was done with it, done with everything. I found myself not caring about anything, not caring how I look, not caring how I am. I just don't care. I found myself not caring about nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now I gotta add these thoughts of not being here to the list. Sometimes I find myself a coward because I can't do what others I can't do. I can't do it. And when I'm really at my peak of being overwhelmed and telling myself that nobody needs me here, that I've tried out this life. I tried, but this life it isn't for me. Those are some of the things I think about. And I learned that so many things are triggers, that I have triggers. And I've been trying to identify my triggers. I've been trying to. Sometimes, whenever I'm going through it, or when I feel like there's a dark cloud, I think to myself, what caused it? What has caused me to feel this way today? I know one thing that used to get me every single time until I stopped thinking about it. I I was an artist, and I decided to stop drawing and stop creating. I stopped face painting. I wanted to become a face painter. I stopped that. I made money for a while, but I told myself nobody wants me, so I stopped it. I wanted to be a caricature artist. I did it, but I stopped because I figured nobody wants me. Nobody wants me to draw them. Nobody. I've always wondered why I can never be successful in all these business adventures that I've always planned and wanted to have. I know why now. Because I cannot stay consistent with everything. And because of this disease that I have, I battle with myself all the time. I'll be okay during some periods. I'll be happy, looking towards the future. Those are times when I'm not dealing with depression and when it's in the back of my head. I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good. I plan things. I have hope. I start setting goals. And right at the beginning, right where there's a peak, there's always a stopping point. I can never move forward. That has been the problem. I can never move forward. Like, why? I know these things, all these ideas that I have, I know that they're worth it, but what is the problem? Why can't I ever go through with anything? Why can't I ever succeed? Oh, I know why. I know why. Because I'm stuck in my head and I never get out of it. I tried getting help. I did. As of right now, I don't trust doctors, and I don't trust those facilities that they have for people who deal with mental problems. I don't trust them because of my experience with them. They don't help you. They don't help you at all. Or at least me. I don't feel like it was helping. What I imagine somebody with mental health such as I imagine seeing a doctor. The doctor may be prescribing you maybe some antidepressants to help you, and also sitting down and talking with somebody, getting some kind of counseling like that to get these thoughts out of my head, to talk about it, to talk through it, come up with some ideas, some kind of strategies on how I can deal with things, because it's hard for me to deal with anything. And here I am. Because my last experience with them, I believe it this year? I can't remember. Was it this year? It was this year. Wait, no, it was last year. I don't know. I don't remember. It was either this year or last year. I wouldn't see my doctor because I had planned my suicide, and I was actually going to go do it. But I called the hotline, suicide hotline for help, and they weren't of much help. So I'm like, okay, to hell with that. That didn't help me at all. So I'm like, I'm going to get help. I am going to go to my doctor, and I'm going to talk to my doctor about this, and maybe she can help me on what I need to do to get better. It was that following week after that attempt, and I was more calm. I wasn't as it wasn't as bad as it was that week. But I called, went in to see my doctor, and I told her about what had happened, and she had me Baker acted. I wasn't a danger to myself at that time because I was seeking help. I guess the kind of help I was looking for was maybe refer me to a mental health therapist or something like that. And she sent me to a facility, and Baker acted me. I'm like, all right. And when you're there at that place, they don't help you. All they do is give you medicine, and that's it, and give you food and a bed to sleep in. That's it. That's it. They don't help you with nothing. So it's a waste of time. So I told myself I would never talk to another doctor again about what I'm going through because they can't help me. So now I guess I'm just on my own, really, with this. I'm trying. I really am. I'm trying. I know I'm all over the place with what I'm saying. I just really want to express the things I've been going through, the things I feel. I just want to share my journey with this. I may not be able to live my dream, but I do want to share this journey with this channel. I do. I know I'm suffering with it now. And I always will. I know depression will never go away. It'll always be there at the back of my mind. These last couple of days have been hard for me. I had I attempted something again, and I'm not gonna say what, but I'm okay now. I recorded it, but I'm not gonna share it. I'm not gonna share that. YouTube will probably take it down anyway, so I've just been turning on my camera and I've been recording. So I decided to make this video to talk about this mental health. And as of right now, I feel like no one can help me. No one can help me. I've taken pills for it. I took antidepressants, but I never take it long enough for it to have any full effect on me. I decided to try again though. Recently, a couple days ago, I decided to just take the antidepressants for 6 weeks and see what it does for me. Because I wanted to live. These last couple of days I have caused people I've been trying to push everybody out of my life. I've been trying to get people to hate me. And I think they do now. So I'm more alone now than I ever been. I don't really have any family anymore. Besides my family that I created. So it's just us here in the apartment.